Welcome to Silverstone for the latest round of the GB3 Championship. Yesterday, it was a slightly overcast day. We've had pretty worse days earlier in the season here at Silverstone, but I'm pleased to say today, 20 degrees already at 10:30 in the morning. The sun is out. The drivers are getting ready for this second race of the weekend. It's our second normal grid race. Then we have the reverse grid race a little bit later on. I'm Jon Jackson, joined as ever by Piers Pryor here trackside at Silverstone on the National Pit Straight. This isn't the Sir Lewis Hamilton Straight, is it?
No, Lewis Hamilton Straight's the other one.
But this is the point, because if you've watched the F1, you'll know that that's the pit lane. We're actually here on the kind of traditional, the original pit lane here, so slightly different track layout, but the drivers don't have any issues with that, like I probably would if I had to race here. We already had one excellent race this weekend, and Piers, this championship is very competitive, isn't it? There's so many good drivers involved. We can't call the title picture until probably the last round at Brands Hatch.
No, we absolutely can't. Every qualifying session, it's tenths and hundredths that make the difference between first and 10th, 11th, 12th, 15th place. It's been so close in every session here at Silverstone, second time we've been here this year. And also, it seems like every time someone has got one hand on the trophy or they're taking a bit of a lead, something else happens, like we saw yesterday with Timothy Kuharczyk.
Yeah, absolutely. So Timothy Kuharczyk, the Polish driver, came into this weekend as the championship leader of the high-tech pole. Say hello to all the Polish fans watching. We enjoy your comments and thank you very much for joining us. Now, after one race yesterday, we have a new championship leader. Things change around, as Piers said, very, very quickly. I won't spoil the surprise. Let's watch back the highlights from the first race of the weekend here at Silverstone yesterday.
Highlights from round 16 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, as we'd race our way down towards the first corner. It was already a change for the race leaders. Louis Sharp would move his way up past Mackenzie Cresswell on the race down into that first turn. We'd head down into Maggotts Beckes and Chapel for the first time, as a couple of drivers were running wide. It was side by side for the race leaders. Mackenzie Cresswell was trying to get one back past on Louis Sharp. The pairing would head side by side up towards Chapel, and then would have a little bit of a squeeze going off. It would allow the door to be open for Jon Bennett to come through and take over the race lead, with a move around the outside coming down to Stowe on Louis Sharp. A big move for him as he would head to the front of the field. The pressure wasn't over though, as he'd have the pressure from Mackenzie Cresswell and Sharp, as Cresswell would lock up a break going down into Brooklands. Louis Sharp around the outside, remaining side by side for second position. Timothy Kuharczyk would be in the tow as well, dragging alongside Jared Waberski as he was trying to find his way into the fight. Meanwhile, second was still being held by Louis Sharp. They go side by side once again down into Maggotts Beckes and Chapel, which would give a poor launch down onto the Hangar Straight, which is where we'd see a little bit of contact, as there'd be a move to the inside. Timothy Kuharczyk would make a move to the inside of Mackenzie Cresswell, and it would send him off into the gravel trap. And unfortunately for the championship leader, he would be out of the race. Would receive a reprimand as well, and it would cause a safety car during this race, which would allow Jon Bennett to cool down his tyres and focus on the race ahead. Kuharczyk out of the race. He would relinquish the championship leads to Louis Sharp, dependent on where Sharp would finish in this race. Meanwhile, Mackenzie Cresswell was working his way back up the order after that contact with Kuharczyk, as he was trying to get past Arthur Rojon coming through Luffield. Around the outside he would go, trying to muscle his way back up the order, moving up into 8th position. A big move for him, as they were also being joined in the fight by James Wharton. Meanwhile, it was Jon Bennett to come through the final corner to take a third victory of the season. A fantastic drive from the JHR Developments driver from Louis Sharp and Jared Waberski.
Well, thank you very much to Lewis McGlade for those highlights. Another exciting race to start the weekend, Piers. For Jon Bennett, it's his third race win of the season so far. And for him, he's a third-year driver now, making that move, knowing that he can get it done, and then sailing on into the distance, and that's what you need to do.
It is exactly what he needs to do. He came back for a third year with one goal and one goal only, and that's to win the championship. In the middle of the year, he was just lagging a little bit behind, but drama for both the championship leaders with Timek and Louis Sharp at various points, and consistent results for Jon has brought him right into contention. He's right there within a few points of the championship lead, and if he can do the same again today, then you never know. It's one of the most experienced drivers on the grid. JHR have been a good team, and clearly he's pushing on.
Yeah, and also his parents have been around here, and we heard actually last night, didn't we? We were having dinner and we heard how excited Jon's dad, Tony Bennett.
I think so.
Yeah, Tony Bennett. heard that name somewhere before. He was getting very excited, I've heard, about qualifying and just watching Jon there, and it is really nice to see the excitement that parents have watching their kids, especially, you know, with how much money these things cost. And, you know, the GB3 Championship is, you know, the leading championship in the United Kingdom, but, you know, things do cost money, and if you want to be in a good team, you have to dig into your pocket, and obviously sponsors are very important, so thank you also to the sponsors. But yeah, lovely to hear and see that, you know, that they were so engaged in that qualifying session. Also, thank you for the flapjacks, and that has nothing to do with the fact that I just gave Jon Bennett a lot of love. He deserves a lot of love, and actually I spoke to Jon after he won the race yesterday.
So Timek, obviously out of that race, do you want to talk us through that incident with Mackenzie?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've seen a gap, I went for it. Obviously, I try to overtake if I see the space there, and yeah, we obviously have to look at that more, because, you know, everything was happening quite quick. So yeah, we have to look at that, and obviously we'll draw some conclusions after. But yeah, from my point of view, I just went for it, for the gap. I was committed already to the corner, so yeah, really unlucky, because, you know, we had a great first lap. Yeah, he was all looking very strong, so yeah, it's a shame, but, you know, we'll have to look at that, draw conclusions, and see what we can do better.
And obviously looking forward to the championship. What does that mean for you, maybe for the rest of the weekend and the rest of the championship?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I put myself again in the position where I need to fight back, but, you know, I wouldn't be like to consider as a driver who doesn't give you enough room or whatever. So I would just fight back, you know. We're racing, all of us, for positions and so on. So on a track, I will always fight for the positions, no matter what. But yeah, that's correct, you know. We have to fight back again. This weekend hasn't been the easiest one so far, as we're struggling a bit with the car and whatsoever. But, you know, I think in a race pace, we're there or thereabouts, so there's plenty of more points to score tomorrow.
And you said looking forward to tomorrow. What is the plan, obviously, with the difficult car?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's maximizing what we can. You know, we start in a bit better position tomorrow with the P5 and in reverse grid also. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. Our main target is to score as many points as we can now, and, you know, I cannot do any more mistakes like this, because it's just gonna make the life harder and harder. So yeah, the point is you know, the target is clear, that we need to fight back, fight for that championship lead again.
Thank you very much, Timek.
Thank you.
Well, that was actually Naomi speaking with Timek Kaharczyk. We will hear from Jon Bennett in just a second, but Piers, he was talking there about the incident yesterday, and I mean, you're obviously commentating on that. It was, I mean, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, well, we didn't actually get to see the incident, unfortunately. We were following a battle just a little bit further back. We cut to back to the corner at the front of the field, and Timek had gone off, and Cresswell had lost some places, and it sounds like, from Timek's own estimation, just went for a bit of an optimistic move, and unfortunately understeered into Cresswell and ended his race and damaged Cresswell's race as well. And it's a shame for Kaharczyk, because he needs consistent results and he can't afford more DNFs. And we've said to him, well, we've seen from Kaharczyk before, he's so quick and he can bang in the results, but he's just had a few times over his 2-year career in GB3 that he's just pushed a little bit too hard trying to make up those final positions, and occasionally it damages him more than it does him good. So again, hopefully he'll learn from that and maybe just take slightly lower risk moves.
Yeah, I mean, when you're driving these cars, and I know you've told me this before, that you have to drive it on the limit within a certain range, and maybe you can tell us the little analogy about that later on when we've got time. But we've heard from Timek Kaharczyk with High-Tech Pulsate. He starts this next race in 5th place. Mackenzie Cresswell is back on pole position, the guy that he had the sort of tussle with yesterday, and let's hear what Mackenzie had to say about it.
So P7 for you, and under investigation for, well, we didn't see the incident between you and Kaharczyk, but do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, yeah, the investigation's still ongoing, but from my point of view, I was already into the corner and he just sent it from way too far back, couldn't slow the car down. I jumped out of the way to avoid him, and then he still managed to hit the side of me, and then he spun after that, forced me off the track and ruined both our races. So it was, yeah, a bit of a silly move from his side, I think. It didn't pay off for him, so yeah, that's how it is. This is racing. Sometimes it happens. Yeah, really annoying that we couldn't put pole to good use. But we'll have another shot at it tomorrow, so try and get some redemption.
And the rest of the race was kind of just recovery for you. And how was that kind of recovery?
Yeah, it was a good recovery. We had a little bit of damage on the front wing from the contact, but still managed to get from P10 to P7 in a couple laps. So it's good considering there weren't many other overtakes either. So pretty pleased with that. The pace in the car was good. Just a shame we couldn't put it to good use.
And now what's the aim for tomorrow morning?
It's got to be a win for sure. Starting pole, I want to get a redemption from today. So yeah, can I hope to get a better start and lead from the front.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mackenzie Creswell there speaking to Naomi yesterday. We've also got to shout out Jared Waberski. Jared Waberski has been on the podium before, but he's been on the podium in the reverse grid race a couple of times this season. That's where the top 12 reverse based on the qualifying, and he's done very well to get those podiums. But this was the first time in the first or second race of the weekend he was on the podium. And I feel like Jared, and I've said this before, he's been great in testing. He's been getting, sometimes topping sessions or being up and around it, and then qualifying's let him down. But this time around, he starts fourth today. He's up there again. So Jared's sort of piecing things together, isn't he?
Absolutely. Second-year driver, moved over to Elite Motorsport, this team, and we know Elite are good around this circuit, of course, with all three of their drivers up well inside the top 10 this weekend. But he's definitely come onto a vein of form recently. He's using the experience he's got, the help of Elite Motorsport. Got the podium yesterday, of course, partly helped by the contact between Timek and Mackenzie that we just heard about, but still was in the position to take it. You mentioned he's been very quick in testing recently, and occasionally just not quite converted the pace he had in testing to the qualifying pace and being right at the front. But he's been there or thereabouts pretty much every race. So he'll hopefully use this as confidence and kick on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, speaking about the title battle as well, we've talked about Timek Kaharczyk in the high-tech Pulsate car. His teammate Will McIntyre not doing so well today. He's starting actually at the back of the grid, and that's going to be a huge blow for him. But you'd imagine that he's going to be making up some places. He's got a fast car. We know he's a fast driver.
Yeah, we saw him make up quite a few places yesterday in the race, just picking his way through and making some good moves. And he'll be looking to do the same again today, right from the back of the grid. Problems in qualifying. It's not a reflection of his out and out pace. I don't think he got the laps in qualifying he needed due to an issue. Maybe we'll hear a bit more about that later on. But yeah, he'll be looking to come through because he was a title contender. In our European road trip, he was right there. And unfortunately, the DNF at Zandvoort he had with the incident with his teammate, and I think it was Schwarzer. I can't remember the car in the middle.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course a poor qualifying here. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes things don't, and unfortunately things are just going against Will McIntyre for now. But still only his first season in the championship, so he's still pushing on and will be up there at least for the top 5 at the end of the year.
From a driver's perspective, when you're used to being at the front but you're starting at the back, how aggressive is he going to be from the off, knowing that he's got to make up places?
Well, Will McIntyre does like to get involved. He likes a good race, and he'll get involved. Certainly, I'm expecting him to make at least 2 or 3 places on the first lap off the line and picking his way through the cars that are a bit slower than him on pace. Okay. And then he'll just have to do what he did yesterday, which is just pick people off one by one. Safety cars will help him out. It helped him out yesterday, brought the pack close together again so we could then sort of kick on a second time. So he'll be hoping for a chaotic race.
Excellent stuff. Well, we heard from Jacob Douglas yesterday. He's a new driver on the grid this weekend. He raced in his first race yesterday with Chris Dittman Racing, and Naomi caught up with him to find out how it went.
So that was the end to your first race. How did you find it?
It was really good. We'd start quite far back after a difficult qualifying, but we managed to move forward a little bit, make some moves, learn as much as we could, and kind of maximise what we could really. Super enjoyable experience, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 races this weekend.
And how much does that experience differentiate from the one you're getting in the USA?
Yeah, a lot for sure. I mean, the car's a big step up and everything, so I'm just enjoying the new experiences, driving faster cars and on tracks as iconic as Silverstone. But yeah, definitely learning as much as possible and taking it all in for the future.
And learning the experience. What from this do you think you'll take into tomorrow?
I think starts. First of all, I haven't done a standing start in a long time, so just improving on that. I think will help a lot for us, and then just the aero wash and kind of managing our tyres and just maximising on what's going on in front of us.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jacob.
Great to hear from Jacob. The Kiwi driver will start this race 19th. I'm sure, as we said in our pre-race interview yesterday, he's going to be learning every single lap he does of this track here at Silverstone. He's going to be learning about the car, he's going to be learning about the track, he's going to be learning what it's like to race in Europe. So looking forward to seeing what he can do there. And as we mentioned Silverstone, let's just remind ourselves of the home of British motorsports.
So the Silverstone circuit, the home of British motorsport, with some of the most iconic corners in all of the world. Copse, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, the run down the hanger straight into Stowe. You've got the Vale Chicane Club, obviously the newer the section that was built back in 2010 with the Village Loop at Aintree, down towards Brooklands and Luffield, and out onto the old start-finish straight, the national start-finish straight, which is where we will be beginning racing this weekend. Of course, the 18 turns of circuit showed plenty of overtaking opportunities around here, with the 3.6 miles. It's about 5 kilometres all the way around, and very little in terms of elevation, just 11.3 metres all the way around. It's a tricky track.
Let's ride on board a fast lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit with our championship leader from Poland, Timek Kucharczyk, who drives for the high-tech Pulse 8 GP team. Turn 1, a slight lift as we go through here. Watch out for track limits on the exit. Now, a short break of straight before we get to the world-famous Maggots and Beckett's corners. Completely flat out through Maggots, car moving around a lot, then a small break through Beckett's using all the curb. Again, lots of rotation through there, and then Chapel. Important to get on the power early for a good run down the hanger straight. The hanger straight, completely flat out, we'll just ease our way to the left-hand side. This will be one of the main overtaking opportunities into Stowe in the races with the long straight and the slipstreaming action. All the way to the left, just a rub on the brakes, down one gear, tipping it in through Stowe. Car wants to rotate. Again, watch out for track limits on the exit. Now down to one of the biggest braking zones for Vale. Braking on the right-hand side, down to second gear. All the curb on the left. Keep left to open up the right of Club. Try and get as close to flat out through Club as you can, and then an easy run flat as we go on to the Hamilton straight past the wing. Again, another straight, potentially an overtaking opportunity into Abbey here. Completely flat out in both qualifying and race conditions. It's all about reducing how much we steer through here to keep the minimum speed up, and then braking into the village, braking and turning at the same time, an awkward entry. Then we're setting ourselves up back to the right-hand side for the loop. A tricky, clumsy corner that's really important for lap time, slightly missing the apex on this lap, but good traction shouldn't hurt our lap time too much. Now onto the Wellington straight, another long straight, slipstreaming in the race. You can overtake on the left and the right-hand side in the race into Brooklands, using all of the curb on the right-hand side. Braking softly as you can. The car wants to oversteer on the entry and then understeer on the exit. Now the final corner of Luffield. Get the first apex, wash wide, and then back to power early. Don't need to necessarily make the second apex. Watching out for track limits once again on the exit for a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the GB3 car.
Beautifully described there, Piers Pryor. Lovely. I mean, you have been around here a few times. I've done it on a game once or twice, and I don't think I've put in a lap time that's anywhere near competitive, even in virtual reality. But there we go. We're now in the assembly area, which is here with all the cars ready lined up. We've got nothing on track at the moment, so I imagine the race will start very, very soon. We're just next to Timek Kucharczyk's car here, and as we mentioned there, after what happened yesterday, he's going to want to get his head back in the game. He's going to have to put that behind him and get out there and make some progress safely and not get involved in any other incidents.
Yeah, of course. We mentioned just before, didn't we, that Timek, pushes hard, very fast driver, can overtake very well, but sometimes in the last couple of years just pushed a little too hard. But he'll learn from that. These drivers are so young. This is, as much as it's a very high level in the UK, they're young drivers. It's one of the first ladders on the way to potentially Formula One. So it's all about learning. That's the main thing for them.
Absolutely is. Well, Timek starts in fifth, just ahead of him, Jared Waberski here, and we've seen, Jared did very well yesterday to make up a couple of places. One of the very, very striking cars that you'll see from Elite Motorsports here. Jared's got a lot of family here. He's got a lot of family watching back home in South Africa, so expecting good things from him. When it comes to the start from Jared, I mean, he's got John Bennett in front of him. We know how well John Bennett can start. Jared fourth, John Bennett third. Of course, John going for a couple of wins for the first time this season, if he gets a couple of wins in the same meeting. So what's going to be going through John's head right now? He's a pretty cool guy. He's pretty calm.
Yeah, he's pretty calm. He's been there, done that in the GB3 Championship, his third season. We know he's quick. We won the race yesterday. He's had poles here the first time he came here. He's had poles here previously last year as well. He'll just be looking to get a good start. I don't think he'll be pushing like crazy to get another win, because he knows that he's now right in the championship hunt, just a few points off the race lead. His championship rival Louis Sharp's ahead of him on the other side of the grid, so he'll be hoping that maybe he can get past, but if not, he knows that consistency and having consistent results, no bad finishes, is what's going to keep him in the championship and hopefully mean he's going to win at the end of the year.
We obviously saw a good start from John yesterday. It's a considerable amount warmer, I'd say 3 or 4 degrees warmer. With the tyres and how quickly they get up to temperature, is that going to mean that the drivers can maybe attack a little bit more from the start, or make some moves that they maybe wouldn't have done yesterday, or is that not enough to get these tyres warm enough straight away on the first lap, for example?
It shouldn't make a huge difference. I don't think the track temperature this morning now will be hugely different to yesterday afternoon, as much as it is a bit sunnier. So I imagine, I haven't measured the circuit. I would imagine it's not massively different. So fairly similar. Tyres will be in a similar condition for race 2, I'd imagine, for the drivers at the front. Of course, they've got 2 full sets, so I imagine they'll probably use the other set that they used that they didn't use yesterday in the race, and get the temperature in the tyres. These GB3 cars produce a lot of grip. They've got a decent amount of power and a lot of brakes, so getting tyre temperature is fairly regulation for these guys.
I'm not going to ask you about racing lines and how they compare to F1 cars this time, don't worry. So you mentioned Louis Sharp starting P2, front row of the grid alongside Mackenzie Creswell here. But when it comes to Louis Sharp, he is now the championship leader, and I know it doesn't matter until you get to the final round of the season who's in the lead, but it's going to give you confidence to already be the championship leader for the second race.
Well, you say it doesn't matter until you get to the last round, but ultimately to be in the lead going into the last round, you kind of need to be somewhere near or very, very close before then. So the fact that Louis Sharp in his first season for Rodin is right there in the championship, he'll be very happy with. We better move out of the way before we get run over. And he'll be looking for another solid result, because it's his strong results and not too many DNFs that have kept him in the championship fight.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's go racing for the second time this weekend here in the GB3 Championship at Silverstone.
Just 8 races left to go in the GB4 Championship of 2024. It has been quite a journey already this season. Of course, Alton Park and Silverstone ticked off before the European road trip at Spa, and then the Hungaroring, and then Zandvoort, of course, which we had a few weeks back before returning over to the UK, where we have the Silverstone round, which we're at today. Of course, there's 8 races left to go, 2 this weekend before we get 3 at Donington Park, and then 3 at the season finale, of course, at West Kingsdown and Kent at Brands Hatch, before we'll wrap up the season and see who becomes our championship. Here, of course, at Silverstone, the championship is only separated by 9 points between Louis Sharp, Jon Bennett and Timo Kuharczyk. There was already drama yesterday. Kuharczyk retiring from the race after a mistake coming down into Stowe. Of course, the grid all the way around, or the circuit all the way around, obviously Copse, Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, down towards Stowe, where we had that issue for Kuharczyk yesterday. Plenty of racing and big dives that we'll see coming down to the Village Loop section, of course, up towards Brooklands, and then out through Luffield, back onto the start-finish straight. The fastest lap still being held by Luke Browning, of course, a few years back when he ended up becoming the 2022 champion. Who will be joining him? Callum Voisin and the likes on the top step of the roster when it comes to the championship? We'll have to wait and see. It is going to be a tricky run, but it could be all beginning now. Of course, the race victory yesterday came from 4th position, which is where Jon Bennett started from. That's where Jared Oberski's going to be starting from today. Can Jon Bennett go to basically the same position from a slightly better grid start? Lewis McGlade, of course, Piers Pryor in the comedy booth. Hello there, Piers. Should be a fun one. Lovely day outside.
What a lovely day to go racing, Lewis. It's very pleasurable out there. We haven't had much summer sun in the UK, and we're very much enjoying it. So if you're at Silverstone, then I'm sure you're having a great day. And if you're not Silverstone, then you can enjoy the racing action from through this YouTube live stream. Let us know where you're watching from in the YouTube comments.
Exactly. I'm sure there's quite a lot of people watching from Poland, weirdly enough. But of course, they'll all be supporting Timo Kuharczyk, who relinquished the championship lead yesterday, and he'll be eyeing up retaking over it as we get ready for the formation lap here. They'll begin their run round. 21 degrees the ambient temperature. It will increase a little bit throughout the day, is what we're expecting, so it should be a little bit hotter for race 3 this afternoon. It is a lovely temperature out there. You can see the cars filtering their way through Maggots, Beckett Beckers and Chapel because they are on the formation lap. You can see Mackenzie Cresswell there, the 5th driver to take a double pole position so far this season. So he'll be starting from pole position once more. It's the same front row as it was yesterday. It will be Mackenzie Cresswell and Louis Sharp on that front row. We'll take a look at the starting grid though for round 17 of the championship. Mackenzie Cresswell on the double pole position, Louis Sharp alongside on that front row. A slightly better position for Jon Bennett though on row 2, who'll be starting from 3rd position. Of course, he is the race winner yesterday. Jared Oberski got a podium yesterday. He'll be starting this one from 4th place. Then we'll have Timothy Kuharczyk, who retired yesterday and relinquished the championship lead. Hugo Schwartz, who's had a great qualifying run, starting from 6th position for the Elite Motorsports team. Ugo Chukwu, obviously on his return to the championship. Gerard Chi, another one of those drivers who's had a double pole this season. That's obviously back at the Hungaroring. Sean Rashid capping off what has been an excellent round so far for him qualifying wise. Arthur Rosen will start just inside the top 10. Then we'll have Sebastian Murray and Patrick Huizenrode, who we'll see starting the reverse grid pole later on this afternoon. He'll be starting from 12th and hoping to keep the car clean, getting himself ready for that one. Nikita Johnson and Noah Ping starting from 13th and 14th of VRD Racing by Arden. Colin Queen made up an awful lot of ground in the race yesterday, and we're expecting him to do very much the same thing from 15th. Josh Erfan will start alongside him in 16th position. Then it's Ed Pearson in 17th. James Wharton will be starting from 18th position, which is where Will McIntyre started yesterday on his rise up the order. Jacob Douglas on debut in the championship from 19th position, with Flynn Jacks in 20th. The penultimate row of the grid will see Adichie Kulkarni starting alongside Marcus Luzio, and in 23rd position, it's the driver I just spoke about, Will McIntyre, the high-tech Pulsate. He could be dropping out of championship contention.
Yeah, well, it depends how he does in this race, Lewis. He's still within touching distance at the moment, but starting from right at the back of the field, it'd be hard for him to get up inside, or inside the top 10 will be a very, very good effort from him. So we'll track his progress throughout the race and keep you updated for those Will McIntyre fans. Of course, Will was fighting hard with the number 7 that we're seeing there of Louis Sharp and Britt Sheffield last season. They took it to the final round, so you know they've been pretty close in the championship so far this season. He'd like to be there at the end of this season as well. Yeah,
Will McIntyre went from 18th to 13th yesterday, so it was a decent recovery, but obviously that was with a safety car as well. I was speaking to Colin Queen, who was saying, yeah, the pace in the car is really good in that Fortec car, so we made a load of progress, but that safety car really hampered us. I think that's kind of the drama that they're kind of always expecting. There's always the risk of a safety car around here because of the gravel traps.
Yes, of course. A few more have been added over the years. Of course, the tarmac runoff helps people stay safe and means that, you know, races don't get ended, like the exit of turn 1, where you often see drivers run wide there. And you can't do that too many times, otherwise we might be keeping an eye on the timing screens and looking out for track limits penalties, because do it too many times you could get a 5-second penalty and then continue to do it, and you can get ever harsher penalties. But drivers lining up on the grid. Mackenzie Cresswell using a bit more of his grid box today, but still being fairly safe. Doesn't want to go past the grid lines, whereas Louis Sharp is right at the front of his grid box, making sure that he has got every advantage he can get going into turn 1.
Very quickly, yes or no, does Cresswell win this race? Takes his first win in 24. You think he does?
Yes.
So we could well be looking at an 8th different winner of 2024. Will McIntyre will roll into the final spot on the grid. They'll all be in position, the lights will come on, and we'll be racing once more down towards Copse. Round 17 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, about to get underway, and we are racing down towards that first turn. Mackenzie Cresswell from pole position is going to hold on to the race lead, or is Louis Sharp going to come through? Sharp is going to make his way past, down to the first corner as he did yesterday. They went side by side through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel on the very first lap yesterday. Will they do the same thing again? The answer to that question is absolutely. Here comes Mackenzie Cresswell going side by side, straight around the outside, almost contact between the pair of them. Louis Sharp with the inside line as they go through towards Chapel. Brilliant move from Mackenzie Cresswell, straight back to the front of the field.
But I think Jon Bennett's going to have a very similar position that he had yesterday. Yes, he's already alongside Louis Sharp. Bennett's going to the left-hand side now, right-hand side of Shot in that number 11 car. Sharp is boxed in behind Cresswell. Sharp looks to the inside. Are we going to go 3 wide? Yes, we are. Similar to yesterday, almost exactly the same. But is Mackenzie Cresswell that somehow holds on to the lead.
Fantastic stuff between a lot of them. Cresswell at the front, Louis Sharp still in second position in the black and white number 7 car, and it's still going to be Jon Bennett. Then it's going to be Jared Oberski. Big move from Ugo Chukwu, looking down the inside of Jared Oberski in that yellow and blue car. And the defensive line as they come through club from Jon Bennett means that he could be a sitting duck coming down into Abbey. Is Jared Oberski going to go on the attack? The big defensive weaves coming in from Mackenzie Cresswell as we head into Abbey for the first time. It's still Louis Sharp behind him. I think Jon Bennett's just about hanging on to third.
Just about, but Mackenzie Cresswell in the front of the field in that bright yellow car in first place ahead of Louis Sharp in the 7 is having to defend because Sharp is piling on the pressure. Mackenzie Cresswell through that first sector. Maggots Beckers in Chapel did exactly the same as he did yesterday, but did it slightly better and kept the position.
A lot of risk being taken there from Timothy Kuharczyk, who's managed to sneak his way past Ugo Chukwu, so he's up to 5th position now, is Timothy Kuharczyk. He'll still be losing ground in the championship. Let's see how much ground he is going to lose. Look to the outside coming into Brooklands, coming in from Louis Sharp there to try and take over the race lead, but again the defensive line coming in from Mackenzie Cresswell was just about good enough to keep Louis Sharp at bay. So the first lap complete, it's going to be Cresswell leading from Sharp across the line. Bennett's still going to be in 3rd position, and then it's still going to be Jared Waberski. Elite Motorsports do go very well round here.
And breathe. Another thrilling first lap. We saw almost a carbon copy through the first sector of yesterday, but Mackenzie Cresswell learning from yesterday. Sharp yesterday managed to go side by side on the inside at the exit of Chapel and get the position pretty much onto the start-finish straight, whereas Mackenzie Cresswell placed his car just ever so slightly better, which is what allowed him to hold on to the lead, and Bennett nearly capitalised once again, but the order is pretty much as we left the grid.
Yeah, indeed. The only real thing is Hugo Schwartz has dropped a couple of positions, so he's now down into 8th position as they run round. Of course, he did start in 6th. Will McIntyre's moved up from 23rd to 20th position, so a little bit of progress there as we look a little bit further back to see Colin Queen defending from Sebastian Murray. That's for 13th position. Murray straight around the outside at Stowe in the number 91, the red, yellow and black car. That was a little bit wide though, I think.
Yeah, I think he left the circuit there, so went beyond the track limit, so I'm sure that there'll be some looking at that from the stewards, but the car's nose to tail through club, and almost no space between them. Another big gain on the first lap. Noah Ping went up 4 positions from 14th to 10th, so a good start from him. Is number 3 just at the bottom of the shot there. We're currently concentrating on this battle. There's so many cars nose to tail going through, and that's Will McIntyre actually making a position up on Flynn Jacks.
Yeah, indeed, just trying to work his way past bit by bit without taking any major risks. Will McIntyre then, like I say, past Flynn Jacks, now into 18th position in the number 21. So he is moving forward ever so slightly. Again, he is the driver that came into this one 3rd in the championship, but of course he's dropped back now to 4th in the championship, as there is a move to the outside. Sebastian Murray just about trying to hang on. That was very brave indeed.
Yeah, it was. Brave moves all the way down the field. You know, it's so close between the whole field. Barely more than a couple of tenths between the cars, as we still see fighting all the way down to last position between, I think that's Luzio and Douglas.
Yeah, indeed. I said Sebastian Murray, I don't think it was. As we'll see Colin Queen trying to get past Nikita Johnson and going out wide. He's going to open up the door and potentially he's going to lose a position to James Wharton, his teammate, of course, the 2 red and white Fortec cars. Back towards the front of the field. There's teammate Kuharczyk then in 5th position, who's going slightly stronger than he was yesterday, and the fact that he's still in the race.
Yeah, Queen's actually up 2 positions this lap, isn't he? Or is he down 2? Queen went down 2 positions that lap from 13th to 15th.
As did Sebastian Murray, because Murray, Sebastian Murray was in 13th, so I thought Murray might have dropped down as well, but no.
No, this gap at the front of the field has opened out ever so slightly now, so Cresswell has pulled a 7.5 tenth gap over Louis Sharp. Interesting though, Lewis, I was looking at the stats from qualifying and the practice sessions, and it seems like that Louis Sharp was the strongest of all the drivers, generally speaking, in sectors 1, which is the Cops, Maggots, Beckett's Chapel sector, where you need high-speed grip. But then his straight line speed was down compared to the likes of High-Tech and Elite. So that leads me to believe that potentially Rodin running slightly more downforce around this circuit than the cars around them, because Sharp was always quick in the high-speed sections, but then slower on the straights. So interesting to see how the different teams set up the cars slightly differently for what is for what is a very long circuit with high-speed corners, but also long straights. Arthur Rosen in a battle.
Yeah, with Gerard Shee, of course, at the back end of the top 10. We're looking a little bit further back from that to Josh Earthen now, as we'll see them running their way around. There's Will McIntyre making a big move to the inside. That's a huge send as he sends one down the inside of, I was going to say Wharton, but it's actually Ed Pearson.
Yeah, that was a lovely move.
That was lovely. Yeah, didn't lock up. It's very easy to do so into that corner, isn't it?
Yeah, the loop is, as I mentioned on the onboard lap, it's quite an awkward corner because Village, which is the long right-hander before it goes on for what it feels like forever, and then you have to bring it back to the right-hand side, and then it's an awkward late apex, slow speed corner which continues to turn on the exit, so you never quite feel like you get the corner just right, but the way that the corner blends seamlessly from Village into the loop, you can send it up the inside from quite a long way back in the loop, and and basically compromise your exit, but block past the driver on the outside, and that's exactly what McIntyre did to good effect just there. So you lose a bit of time there, but it's a fairly safe move to do at low speed as well.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we did see a little bit there coming down through the final complex where Gerard Shee and Arthur Rojon were going side by side in the 18 and the 23. They do remain very close on the circuit. 3 laps complete. Here it is Mackenzie Cresswell continuing to lead from Louis Sharp, from John Bennett, from Waberski, from Kuharczyk, from Ugachukwu, Sean Rashid in 7th position, excellent drive. Then Hugo Schwarzer, Noah Ping, and Arthur Rojon inside the top 10. There was a little bit of a look coming in from Patrick Huizenroder because Gerard Shee is starting to feel the pressure in 11th spot, but Huizenroder in, of course, that very distinctive liveried JHR Developments car, of course, the Miami Blue, feeling the pressure from Sebastian Murray himself. It is one big train.
It really is one big train, and we saw a safety car yesterday with one just small issue for Timet Kuharczyk, but so far not tempting fate, touch wood, touching the desk that we're in front of us, as we don't have any more contact, but it's very well behaved so far. Good close racing in the GB3 Championship, which we see quite a lot, and these GB3 cars, they suit this Silverstone Grand Prix circuit so well.
Yeah, indeed. I will say fastest lap on the last one did come in from Mackenzie Cresswell, who now pulls out a 1.1 second lead. So he's going very strong, is Cresswell. You said he was going to be your call for the race when you said yes. Does this mean the commentator's curse is rubbish?
I mean, he did lose the lead going into turn 1. I thought I just cursed him straight away.
I didn't say leading every single lap or anything like that. I just said win.
Yeah, Cresswell is looking like he's the driver with the pace at the moment. No one's going quicker actually at this stage in the race, so potentially the best of the tyres gone, but he was the fastest by quite some margin on that third lap. He was good 4 tenths quicker than Sharp in second place, and again this lap just now is a good another 2.5, 3 tenths quicker again, so extending that gap to now 1.4 seconds. Ooh. But I won't imagine Louis Sharp will be too unhappy to finish second behind Cresswell, because Cresswell's not a realistic shout for the championship.
That was Colin Queen and his teammate James Wharton making a little bit of contact. This is Josh Irfan now going into the first corner, having a little bit of a battle with Colin Queen, with Wharton. Oh, that was Ed Pearson rather, sorry, that he's with. Yeah. All the Vortex are back here having a little fight. They've not worked their way through, as we've seen them do so many times this season, especially in the last few races with Colin Queen, but Ed Pearson really embroiled in the fight.
Yeah, he really is. Ed Pearson getting stuck in. We know those Vortex cars come good in the races, and they're having a good race, as we see Pearson trying to come back on Josh Irfan, looking on the outside of Stowe, which is hard to do. You need to get an overlap really, but Irfan going a little bit wide. That's going to give Pearson a good opportunity to attack into this corner here, which is Club, one of the main overtaking opportunities. Goes around the outside. Can he stick it to the inside of Club? Yes, beautiful move. That's exactly what he was lining up, and Irfan chooses to take to the runoff and is now going to be under pressure from Adi Kulkarni.
Yeah, indeed. Kulkarni going on the attack, going down to Abbey, or look to the outside, but will probably breathe the throttle just a touch before they work their way into the apex at Abbey. That was a good bit of racing between the lot of them. My goodness, absolutely flying their way around the circuit, as we'll now focus on Nikita Johnson, I believe.
Yes, having a big power slide out of the loop there. Keep clearly pushing on hard. Those BRD by Arden cars, as I mentioned yesterday, very, very quick in the testing that we had, and right up there on Thursday. I think they led a couple of the sessions, and unfortunately, just as the track evolved over the test days and into the qualifying, they didn't quite have that same turn of speed. And when we say track evolution, the track isn't actually a changing shape or anything. It's just the way that the rubber goes down on the circuit with the GB3 cars, the GB4 cars, and all of the other support races, and GT Cup is here, for example, this weekend. The mix of tyres, and as the rubber goes down, it changes the way the cars grip the circuit and changes the way the cars handle. So often the grip in the circuit, if it doesn't rain, will go up over a race weekend, which kind of means that the cars can... These GB3 cars, which rely so much on minimum corner speed because they have so much grip and relatively more grip than power, the car can effectively bind up and almost have too much grip, so you need the car to be a bit freer so that it can really carry that speed to the medium and high speed corners, and you can get caught out because you can think, the car's perfect in session 1 in the morning, and then you go out in the afternoon and then think, oh, actually now I've got understeer in and oversteer out. So yeah, it's an interesting thing that both the teams and the drivers have to learn, but also useful information for them as they move up their single-seater careers, and can use that potentially in other series going forward at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit.
Well, this is the battle for third position, as we've got Jon Bennett, Jared Wilberski and Timothy Kuharczyk involved in all of this. Of course, Bennett and Kuharczyk, they're looking to outscore Louis Sharp here, but that 2-second margin between Bennett and Sharp, that ain't happening in this race. Louis Sharp, of course, is the champion leader. It's already been quite a good day for the Rodin team, at least in the world of motorsport. Spoilers, we'll move on. Of course, at the moment that gap is growing, and it does leave Jon Bennett kind of very defensive here to Wilberski, who is on a charge, looking for back-to-back podiums.
Yeah, Wilberski will be pushing hard to get that back-to-back podium, but Bennett's just dropping off the back a little bit. We've still got a battle here at the back end of the top 15, and that is Kulkarni making his way past Irfan as Irfan goes off the road on the exit of the loop and is actually going to be passed by Marcus Luzio as well. So interesting to see the battling all the way down the field. It's actually side by side going into Brooklands now. That is one of the CDRs. Is that Douglas? No, that's Kulkarni, and the number 55, which is Jackson, has a big moment going through Luffield and loses a position to both his teammate of Douglas and Kulkarni. Yeah,
Douglas making his way past. That was a huge moment. Good swapper, or good hands to catch that before it went round. Kulkarni then moving his way up the order bit by bit, so now running up in the 19th position. He resides in the two Chris Dittman racing cars directly behind that are applying all the pressure. 4 laps left to go here in Silverstone, and a 2-second lead for Mackenzie Cresswell as he looks to take his first victory of the season.
Yeah, we just got distracted. I was talking about Jon Bennett before we saw this battle. Oh, Kulkarni has a big slide through Chapel. We're talking about Jon Bennett, and as much as Bennett is dropping slightly off the back of Sharp in second place, he's not holding back. The lap before, I noticed when I was talking about the track evolving, he had a big slide on the exit of Club, power sliding the GB3 car, which is not normally something you see very often as this battle continues at the back. Oh, contact! Jax and Pearson making contact. Is that Pearson?
It's the Queen. It's Queen. It's Colin Queen.
Oh, it's Colin Queen. Colin Queen, yeah, getting tagged by Blin Jax going into Stowe corner. It looked like it was almost a similar incident that we heard from Kuharczyk and Mackenzie Cresswell yesterday, but unfortunately Queen is the one that's come off worst there, and a flash of the rain light from Kulkarni. I'm not sure what that means. He's trying to communicate to Jax behind him. But yeah, there was unfortunate contact there. You just looked away, Lewis. It was front wheel to rear wheel, and unfortunately it was Queen that came off worst. Lewis, I'll let you talk through this battle with Gerard Shee.
That was close through Aintree between Gerard Shee, of course, trying to work his way up inside the top 10. Arthur Rojon, the driver that he's battling with. As we cut away, they were going side by side into Brooklands. Arthur Rojon and Gerard Shee having a fantastic battle, as we're seeing from quite a few drivers on this grid. There's Uga Chukwu working his way past. Let's see the order. It is Gerard Shee who's made his way through. So Gerard Shee up inside the top 10 now in the number 23. This is not done, though, as we head down towards Copse.
No, it's not done. He's looking to go push Rojon to the inside. He might have a look around the outside or potentially get a cut back through Copse. We'll see them come into shot very shortly. Has he made his way through? Has he made his way through?
Oh, we'll find out.
We'll find out very shortly, but he's not the only high-tech car that's making progress. Will McIntyre from the back of the grid, 23rd up to 16th now, taking positions pretty much every lap so far and also making advantage of the incidents that are going on around him. We've still got a battle for the final place in the podium, but we can look in the back of Shot, and She has made his way past Rojon. I would imagine either around the outside of Turn 1 or getting the cut back into Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, certainly, though, the important bit is that She has moved his way past. Now we'll be looking up to close into Hugo Schwarzer, as we'll see this gaggle come into that final, into Stowe, where we've got Kulkarni, we've got Douglas, we've got Luzio as well coming through the shot. Josh Irfan's rejoined this fight. This is going to be harsh, considering where the JHL driver of Jon Bennett is in this race, running in 3rd position. I'm a little disappointed with Josh Irfan this race.
Yeah, and Hoytsenroder as well is. Oh no, that's an elite car. I'm just rubbish. Yeah, Bennett's doing very well. Of course, there's a very different experience gap between Bennett and Irfan. Bennett, 3rd season of Championship. Irfan, of course, his 1st season. Shown decent speed in qualifying recently. Had double reverse grid pole, didn't he?
This is what I mean. It's like he's been strong for a couple of rounds, and we come to a circuit that we've been to before. It is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, he's just unfortunately dropped back in terms of pace. Maybe qualifying didn't quite go his way, and we saw him also move backwards in those reverse grid races. Unfortunately, not able to convert those reverse grid poles and ended up getting shuffled back. So potentially a little bit of single-seater racecraft. Just showing a little bit of lack of experience in single-seater racecraft from Irfan, but I'm sure experiences like this he'll learn from and use maybe when he comes back next year.
Exactly. Exactly. It's always a learning experience. Return to a circuit for a second time. Sometimes you've got this expectation of it being like, this is the time that I'm going to have to move forward, but then you've got to remember, this is for Jon Bennett, this is the 6th time he's raced around here in this car. So, yeah, it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? As they
7th?
Well, it's the 6th weekend he's gone racing, because obviously we did 2 in 22, 2 in 23. This is our 2nd time racing in 24. You understand the science.
I thought we did 1 in 21. But anyway, that's by the by. It's still using that experience to great effect of being in 3rd place, because he's pushing on for a championship challenge, which is what he wanted to do this year. We spoke to him at the start of the year, and it's what he said. He said, championship's my goal.
Yeah, and proving it to be the case, though we'll be losing grounds to Louis Sharp. This is back to Hugo Schwarzer, who's on the rear end of Noah Ping. This is the battle for 8th position. Noah Ping in the charcoal grey car, then it's the yellow of Hugo Schwarzer, the silver there of Gerard Shee, and of course they are tight in tandem with Arthur Rojon in the black and white that was directly behind them. This is back up towards Jared Waberski, the battle for 3rd position. Bit of a swap there, bit of a squiggle in the brakes coming down into the village loop section from Jon Bennett in the number 11.
Oh yeah, definitely not holding back. You'll see him soaring away at the wheel and pushing that car to its absolute limits. Of course, these cars, they look like they're on rails and they're not moving around a huge amount because of the amount of downforce they have, but the drivers are working extremely hard behind the wheel, balancing them through every single corner, and there's a lot more work that goes into driving one of these than it may look from the outside. If you watch an onboard, or you may have seen the onboard lap from Timek Kuharczyk in the pre-show, but the drivers, they're on the limit of adhesion. The rear is moving around, the front is understeering, and they're balancing it all with the pedals of the brakes and the throttle as well, because you can manipulate how the car handles as well, not just with the setup, but the way you drive it. You can trail the brakes a bit further into a corner, get a bit more grip on the front tyres, and that makes it rotate some more. And the drivers are always playing with their driving to try and get the most out of the car they have underneath them.
Well, it's the final lap of the race. There is your race leader doing exactly as Piers Pryor predicted. The Piers Pryor prediction. There we go. Going into this race, absolutely flying away with it. 2.1 seconds back to Louis Sharp. You have to wonder, though, who's taking slightly newer tyres into this race, who's preparing for the 3rd race as well later on this afternoon. Tyres are a big talking point here in GB3.
Yeah, they are. Of course, 2 full sets for qualifying and the 3 races. So generally the teams in dry qualifying, which we had this weekend, will use both of their new sets, because a new set of tyres just has a couple of tenths of advantage, and those tenths are crucial to get good grid positions for both race 1 and race 2, and then they'll use the best of what they've got for race number 3. So I would imagine, because we had safety car laps yesterday, most of the front runners will use yesterday's race tyres for race number 3. But drivers who may be in sort of qualifying about 12th position may have saved a set of tyres, a better set of tyres to push on and try and get a good result in race 2. But regardless, the drivers have all got the same number of tyres to work with, and so far in this race, the driver that's made the best use of them is that driver there, number 16, Mackenzie Cresswell.
Yep, who looks to be working his way down towards Brooklyn. It's been a while since we've seen Mackenzie Cresswell onto the top step of the podium. It's been a year. Of course, it was round here. It was race 2 of the Silverstone weekend, the 2nd Silverstone weekend last year. He's had a pole position before. He's had a race victory before, but this is the first one of 2024. And when he did that, it started this streak of podiums where he took 6 podiums in 7 races. Could we be seeing the same for Mackenzie Cresswell now as he comes through the final corner? And it is Mackenzie Cresswell who wins here at Silverstone by 2 seconds over Louis Sharp, who will extend his championship lead. Jon Bennett will take to a podium, but what a superb performance from Mackenzie Cresswell, to a point where we thought he might have lost it a little bit down towards turn 1.
He did. He lost the lead early on, but managed to hold off the charge of both Louis Sharp and, of course, Jon Bennett, who got involved in that 3-way fight down towards Stowe and the first lap. But no, great first lap, set him up for the rest of the race, and he was the driver that had the most pace, taking fastest lap as well, a 1:53.840. Very consistent throughout that race with clear air as well. His last lap only a couple of tenths away from his best.
Yeah, now when we talk a fastest lap here, don't panic. Anyone sat at home, there is no bonus point for a fastest lap. We don't do bonus points in GB3 with the exception of positions gained in race 3. We'll talk about that later on in the afternoon, though, so don't worry about it. It's just straight up 35 points for taking a victory, and those 35 points do go the way of Elite Motorsports and Mackenzie Cresswell. And like we said before, Elite have a really, really good track record around Silverstone.
Yeah.
And it's good that they just keep it up.
Yeah, somehow they found a setup that works around here, and every time we've come here, I think they've taken a win every time we've come here.
Well, pretty much. I'm not going to go through the stats.
Off the top of my head, I'm saying that because Tom Leben definitely took a win in 22.
Yes.
Mackenzie Cresswell took a win last year, and Mackenzie Cresswell's won again this year.
Yeah, exactly. Every year we've been here. Obviously, they didn't win earlier on in the year because High Tech won all the races earlier on in the year.
Yes, we missed that. But
it's fine.
But historically, Elite Motorsport go very well around here. But that's taking nothing away from their drivers, because the car may be good, but you still have to pull out 2 good laps in qualifying. You still have to execute the race start. You still have to fend off the challenges of Louis Sharp and John Bennett at the front of the field, and then you still have to drive a clean and perfect race, which is exactly what Mackenzie Cresswell did. Didn't put a foot wrong from what we saw. Extended that gap until the last lap. 2.2 second victory ahead of the rest of his championship rivals. I think is a strong word. Mackenzie Cresswell's an outside shout at the championship. Would need the likes of Sharp, Bennett and Kuharczyk to have dramas before the last round of the season, but putting himself in the best position to get inside the top 3, and Bennett and Sharp will both be happy with that. 2 podiums for those 2 drivers, especially when Kuharczyk and, for example, McIntyre are down a bit further down.
Something like 6 podiums in 7 races might reignite his championship charge, and he's done that before.
Been there, done that.
You never know.
Rinse and repeat.
We do say he gets stronger towards the end of the season. Let's see if Mackenzie Cresswell can indeed do so. I'd love to see a little 5-car battle in the championship heading down to West Kingsdown in Kent. But that's a long way to go from here, as Mackenzie Cresswell will pull into Parc Fermé and, of course, onto the top step of the podium. Louis Sharp will join him in the podium positions, and then, of course, it will be John Bennett alongside. So, good stuff there from Louis Sharp in the championship. Again, he'll be able to extend his championship slightly. I'll update you with the points once we're done with the podium. Then we can exactly see where things line up. Seeing Cresswell out of the car celebrating there. There is Louis Sharp. I think he'll be pleased with the drive, but not ecstatic. It's another podium for him. It's exactly what he needs, but it's a solid performance from him. Of course, there's John Bennett in the background. Another podium for him. He's been really ticking them off this season. He in that JHR Developments car, of course, Mike Epps behind the scenes, bit of driver coaching. Tony Bennett, his dad, obviously there to congratulate and such. Mike Epps has done a lot of work to obviously guide a lot of drivers through in this championship. We said before about Joseph Loke, who was in championship contention last year, finished off in 3rd position. Could this be the year where JHR Developments really go after the title in the hands of John Bennett? He's mature and he's been building his way up, and especially with the retirement yesterday from Kuharczyk, he has taken advantage of that retirement with a victory and with another podium. Mackenzie Cresswell, again, I'd say it'll be a tall order for him to fire his way back into championship contention just because of the largeness of the gap back to Cresswell. But it's... In fact, I don't think he really is. I think he is purely thinking about getting after some solid results towards the end of this season, finishing on a high and focusing on 2025 and whatever he's going to be racing in next year. I don't know where we'll see Mackenzie Cresswell show up, but he has been a great talent in the championship. It's great to see him take another victory, because he's only had a couple. Well, this is his second one, and now we're going to go down to Jon Jackson to catch up with our podium finishers.
Thank you very much for teeing me up there, Lewis McGlade. Mackenzie Cresswell, going to chat to him now. Mackenzie, it's been a little while since you've tasted the top step of the podium. Must feel good. Yeah,
it feels really good. As you said, it's been too long. Only took us 5 race weekends, so yeah, really happy to get that weight off our shoulders. We got the momentum now, so I think we can have a good final few rounds of the year, hoping to keep the streak going.
You finished very strongly last year, so it could be a repeat of that and keep you up there in the mix at the top of the championship. When it comes to that race there, it was all about kind of not letting Louis Sharp get past you and that kind of battle for the first lap.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a great start, which obviously didn't help, but I put it all on the line in Maggotts Beckett, so yeah, it paid off. I knew I needed to make the move because after that one, it's pretty difficult to overtake at the moment. So yeah, really happy to get the move done. And then after that one, it was just about managing the gap, making sure I was not taking too much out of the tyres because it's really hot today, so needed to keep them in check for the last few laps. Car was amazing. Can't thank Elite enough, so yeah, really happy.
Your idea of really hot is a little bit different to my idea of really hot. It's like 21 degrees, but I get your point. Mackenzie, congratulations. We'll let you get your trophy, okay?
Thank you.
Mackenzie Cresswell there with Elite Motorsports. Louis Sharp now with Roden. We've already had Roden's success earlier on in the FIA F3, and another podium for you and more points and a bit more of a lead in the championship.
Yeah, first of all, big congratulations to Callum and the Roden F3 team. Super strong results. They're getting the win this morning. No, it was another good race for us, another P2, same as yesterday. Again, I was leading into turn 1, so would have been nice to win again, but I think at the end of the day, I said this yesterday, I beat the people I needed to in terms of the championship. So we extended our points lead. So no, although again, a win would have been nice. At this point in the championship, I just got to be, at this point in the season, I got to be thinking about the championship, and I was able to do that today. So no, yeah, big thank you to the team. Obviously race 3 this afternoon, hopefully we can make up a few positions, but no, it's been a good weekend so far.
Very smart and mature racing, I have to say. Louis, congratulations, we'll let you get your trophy.
Thank you.
Louis Sharp there, finishing second. Here we go, I'm being pointed at, here we go, Ben. We're going to have a fun time getting to John Bennett, here we go. Watch the wings, cars are in park ferme. John Bennett here, just chatting with Jonathan Palmer. I'm going to rudely interrupt. Sorry, JP, I got to jump in. John, another podium for you, more points. How was that race for you?
A bit more of a struggle than yesterday, but yeah, I mean, another podium, great points. I almost thought lap 1 would be a repeater yesterday with Mackenzie and Louis fighting, but just didn't quite have the same run down the straight to Stowe. But yeah, I mean, happy with the result, good points. So far, been a really strong weekend. So.
First good race, what do you think you can achieve?
To be honest, number 1 goal is just staying ahead of Louis, really. I'll be starting 2 places ahead of him. Yeah, I mean, just picking off any place I can and trying to get another solid haul of points from that. So.
Excellent stuff, John. We'll let you go and get your trophy on the podium. And the podium is where we're heading to right now with Lewis McGlade talking you through it.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you to the podium as well. Again, beautiful afternoon of racing. And a beautiful race it was. And again, an excellent performance from Mackenzie Cresswell. We find ourselves, by the way, 54 points off of the championship lead. We'll update you with the championship standings once we're done with the podium, though. And again, how close things are. We'll obviously see them take to the steps of the podium. We've seen Mackenzie Cresswell on the podium quite a few times this season. But not to the top step. He had a 3rd place in the first round. He had a 2nd place at Silverstone when we came here last. Had a 3rd place at the Hungaroring. Had a 3rd and a 2nd at Zandvoort. And of course, now has a victory. Did have a double pole position there, which I think is quite an interesting stat to have 5 drivers who have had double pole positions so far this season. What does that say for the final round at Donington and Brands Hatch? Will we see other drivers throw their hats into the ring? I'll give you the list of drivers who have had double pole positions because I think it's quite interesting. You've got Louis Sharp, you've got Timmy Kuharczyk, you've got Gerard Shee, of course, at the Hungaroring, you've got John Bennett, and of course you've got Mackenzie Cresswell this time by. What other big name could throw their hat into the ring on that one? Could anyone else throw themselves into the mix? Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's lots of drivers that certainly have the pace and ability to maybe do so. But I do get the feeling the next pole position is probably going to come from one of our top drivers in the championship, of which we do really have 5 that are in the championship fight. Will Canwell, McIntyre and Mackenzie Cresswell into it. They are most certainly in the championship fight, as we'll see 3 of our championship protagonists, if that's the case, march to the steps of the podium. We'll welcome them out in just a second. Of course, the first of which will be John Bennett after a drive to 3rd position, where he was under an awful lot of pressure from Jared Waberski throughout the end of that race, as he was able to grab himself yet another podium this season. It'll be Bennett first, who won yesterday. Again, brilliant performance from him. There he is. I'm trying to work out how many podiums it's been for him this season. It has been, that's his 8th one this season, so that's a pretty impressive tally. There is Louis Sharp, who will be on for his 7th podium of the season, and then Mackenzie Cresswell, who has grabbed his 6th podium of the season, but this time it is a first victory to chuck onto the campaign as he eyes up the upper echelons of the championship. Again, really, really good drive there from Mackenzie Cresswell. It was very mature. Lost the lead down into turn 1, was able to re-grab it with some wise driving, some brave driving as well, going through Maggotts, Beckers and Chappell. An excellent performance from Louis Sharp as well to kind of facilitate that battle. I always say it takes 2 to tango, and you know, if you are going to make an overtake, it kind of, the overtake's only kind of as good as, for one, you make it, but as good as your opponent makes it as well. Louis Sharp put up quite a fight, but never went over the line. The pair of them put on a great show there to battle that one out. Of course, that was really the only battle for the lead. It was on lap 1 there. It does mean, though, that those two have gone side by side through Maggotts, Beckers and Chappell 3 times this weekend. We've only had 2 races. They did it in lap 1 and lap 2 in yesterday's race. So they did it in lap 1 here as well. Will we see the same thing in race 3 later on? We'll have to wait and see. We'll take a look at results in just a second, as we'll see the celebrations there for the team. We'll jump straight on to results. And, of course, provisional. they are. So obviously race control will have to take a look at a couple of things. I'm sure there's a few things they need to take a look at, but realistically speaking, it was all pretty tidy between the top grouping here at Silverstone. Provisionally then it'll be Mackenzie Cresswell taking victory in round 17 of the championship. Of course, with Louis Sharp there in second position. It really was a good drive from Mackenzie Cresswell and from Louis Sharp. Big gap though back to John Bennett, who'll be in third position. Then of course it was fourth place for Jared Waberski. Fifth place was Timothy Kuharczyk, you can just see there. Of course after the retirement yesterday, that'll be a very solid result for Timothy Kuharczyk. Yuga Ugochukwu obviously in his return to the championship, sixth position in the race. Then Sean Rashid and Noah Ping make it a trio of Americans running 6th through 8th. Gerard Chi in 9th position and Hugo Schwarzer back inside the top 10 after dropping back, to be fair, from 6th position in qualifying. Arthur Rojon in 11th position with Patrick Hoytenroder in 12th. Then Sebastian Murray in 13th. Nikita Johnson in 14th position. James Wharton, of course, in 15th. He drove the previous time we're at Silverstone and he's back again in the championship. So it's a solid drive to him to be the head of the Fortec group, of course. There we've got McIntyre, then Pearson, then Kulkarni, Douglas and Lucio. McIntyre up to 16th position from 23rd. Important points for him in this. Josh Erfin in 21st position with Flynn Jack and Colin Queen rounding out the 23 finishes, everyone making it to the checkered flag. Now with all that, we can probably take a look at the championship standings, which are fascinating, are interesting, are slightly further apart than what they were, of course, at the start of this race when it was just 9 points separating the top 3. It's 9 points separating the top 2. Louis Sharp leads the championship on 323 points, 314 for John Bennett, 9 back. A further 10 back is where you'll find Timothy Kuharczyk in third position in the championship. 47 points now off the championship lead for Will McIntyre, but could technically gain some more because of he can work his way through the order and gain points for every position gained in the next race, up to 15 positions. And then Mackenzie Cresswell in 5th position. The top 5 in the championship separated by 54 points. I still think 4th and 5th, they're kind of in it. Jared Waberski, though, way too far back. 108 points now off in 6th position. Then Yuga Ugochukwu, he'll be closing his way back up. Moved up to 7th position in that race, courtesy of his finish. Ahead now of Gerard Chi. Hugo Schwarzer and Patrick Hoytenroder hang on to the top 10 positions towards the back end of it. And they pulled out a little bit of a gap to Arthur Rojon, James Headley and Noah Ping, are those that just sit outside of the top 10 with their chances to work up. But it really does look as though we're building up towards a 5-horse fight for the championship. And honestly, it's going to be a brilliant run. Obviously, after this, we've got 7 races left to go. A whole host of points up for grabs in the championship as we'll head down to Piers Pryor, who's catching up with Aditya Kulkarni.
So we've got Adi Kulkarni down here. Adi, we thought I'd grab a word with you because, of course, you had a pretty busy race in that one. Just talk to us about it from your perspective.
Yeah, the race started really close, and as we got deep into the race, it was me and a couple of other cars. We just had a battle the whole race, just making moves on each other, running each other wide, just really good racing in general.
It did look like really good racing. It looked really good fun out there, really close, and you went up a few, then you went down, and then you went back up again. It was a really close fight for... I mean, we're used to seeing close fighting, but sometimes we don't quite see it towards the back end of the top 10 and just outside, but it must be a really good experience for you as well.
Yeah, it's really good. I think as the season progresses and we gain more pace, we can take this fight to the front of the field, and now we're just doing it at the back, but hopefully we get there in the end.
But it's also, you say it's at the back, it's actually not that far away. It's pretty much, especially for the first half of the race, it was almost nose to tail from first to pretty much right at the back of the grid. So that must be encouraging that you're making strides forward every round.
Yeah, GB3 is really close nowadays with just a second separating the whole grid. And as we are in the racing, the pace doesn't really matter as much. It's all about racecraft, so it's really good getting a battle in.
And you said that only about a second between you and literally the right at the front of the field. What can you do to close that gap even further in the final, 2 events of the season?
I think working on myself and the setup will help a lot. Also, physically, the car's really demanding, so just improving every small bit to take out as much time as possible. And seat time helps a lot. Well, I've only had 1 test day before the start of the season, so hopefully for next year I might get some more pre-season.
You mentioned the physical. I remember Silverstone being one of the most physically demanding circuits on GB3. I never got to drive Zandvoort. Is it still like heavy steering around here?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy because of the long corners and the sequences. Even though you have large straights where you can take a rest, it's quite always into a corner, and the new cars have a lot more weight and much faster with more downforce, so there's a lot of load going in on the body.
Addy, it's great to have the insight. Thanks very much. We'll let you go and cool down, ready for race number 3. We'll grab Will McIntyre as well. Will, we saw that unfortunately after qualifying, not where you wanted to be. We haven't actually heard exactly what happened. Why were you down so low?
Yeah, just issues all round really. Since Thursday, nothing's really gone to plan at all for us. So yeah, sort of went into quali with a session of practice, and yeah, didn't really go well. Got a lot of traffic and got impeded quite a lot of times throughout my laps, and yeah, literally everything that was out of my control went wrong basically. And yeah, so hold my hands up. It was a bit of me, bit of the car, bit of everything really, and a bit of traffic. So yeah, basically everything this weekend's just not gone to plan.
Sometimes those things just don't quite go your way, and it's sometimes out of your control. But a good fight back through in the first couple of races.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can do, especially with this dirty air around Silverstone, and obviously starting on very last in the grid. So I'm going into Maggots and Beckett's on the first lap, and everyone's like 4 wide. So I'm just doing the best I can just to keep my nose clean and just to pick them all off one by one, showing that I do have the pace. And yeah, especially that last race, going from 23rd to 16th or 15th, and yeah, I had pretty decent pace, and I was on my worst tyre. So yeah, hopefully this reverse good race we do all right.
We'll see how you get on in that, Will. We'll let you go and prepare for that. Thanks very much for chatting to us. John, is interesting to see hear the reaction from the race. Another good one.
I didn't hear his reaction, but I'm sure everyone watching heard it, and I'll catch up with it before race 3. I've just been having a chat with some of the other people that we're going to hear from before race 3. We've got Jared Oberski, Flynn Jacks also lined up, and also later on before race 3 we're going to hear from not only a sponsor of the championship who did a presentation earlier, which was really, really cool, but also we're going to hear from someone involved with Callum Voisin, who obviously, we heard from Louis Sharp there say congratulations to Callum Voisin, last year's champion, the current reigning GB3 champion, who won his first FIA F3 feature race earlier on today for Rodin's first win ever, or for a very long time in that championship. So yeah, congratulations to him. We're going to hear from one of his team members that knows him very, very well later. I know you spoke to him a little bit earlier on. So there we go. GB4 is coming up very, very soon actually. So GB3, 2:45 for the final race of the weekend. GB4 coming up very, very soon, so you can watch it on the same channel, the MSV channel. Of course, you can get all the photos and all the quotes from the drivers and read Richards, what do we call it, Randy's race report on the GB3 website as well, with all the facts, everything you need to know about the race you've just watched. And of course, you can watch this back if you've just caught it halfway through or just towards the end. Go back, watch it on YouTube or Facebook as well. And we'll see you 2:45 for the final race in GB3. And if you fancy a bit of GB4 action, basically stay on this channel and you'll see it. It starts in about, 15 minutes time. See you there.